Today, we're diving into a blueprint for a just society that's over 1,400 years old, but feels like it could have been written yesterday. We're looking at the Quran's foundational plan for social justice, and not just as some lofty ideal, but as a real, practical formula for creating balance in the world. It's a huge question, right? One that philosophers have argued about for centuries. Is it just laws? Shared culture? Money? Well, the source material we're looking at today suggests the answer is something else entirely, a kind of divine formula. And it's a surprisingly modern-feeling approach from a very ancient text. Okay, this verse right here is the heart of the whole thing. It's from the 16th chapter of the Quran, An-Nahl. And what's so striking is how direct it is. This isn't, a gentle suggestion or some philosophical thought. It's framed as a clear, foundational command for all of us. And this is where we have to shift our perspective. This one verse is presented as a kind of divine constitution for how we should interact with each other. It lays out, with zero ambiguity, what builds a society up and what completely tears it down. It's the bedrock for the whole social system. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of this blueprint. The verse gives us a perfectly balanced formula for social health. It outlines 6 key pillars, 3 things we absolutely have to build and 3 things we have to actively get rid of. And here's that formula in action. On one side, you have the positive duties, justice, kindness, and taking care of your family. On the other side, you have the destructive stuff that needs to be erased, indecency, immorality, and rebellion. The whole idea is that a healthy society is only possible when this equation is kept in balance. The first positive pillar is Al-Adl, or justice. But this is way more than just courts and judges. The source defines it as perfect, proportional fairness in absolutely everything. Imagine a system where every single person and every issue gets exactly what it's due. No more, no less. That's Al-Adl. It's the absolute foundation of equilibrium. But a society built only on strict, cold justice could be a harsh place to live. And that's why the next pillar, Al-Ihsaan, or kindness, is so critical. If justice is the foundation, think of Ihsaan as what makes the building a beautiful home. It's this active spirit of benevolence that goes beyond the bare minimum, making sure the system isn't just fair, but is also compassionate and humane. It's really the heart of the system. The third positive pillar is giving to relatives. It sounds simple, but it's actually pretty profound. It anchors all this social responsibility in our most immediate relationships. The idea is that a just society isn't some abstract thing out there. It's built from the ground up, starting with the support and fairness inside strong families. It all starts at home. Now for the other side of that equation. Of the 3 big don'ts, the source really zeroes in on al-baghi. This is all about transgression, rebellion, and excess. It's the act of crossing boundaries, whether that's through outright oppression, tyranny, or even just trying to get an unfair advantage over others. It is the direct enemy of Al-Adl, of that balance we just talked about. All right, we've seen the principles. They sound good, right? But how do you actually put them into practice? Let's look at a really practical and, frankly, pretty radical example of how this blueprint is meant to be applied to a society's economic policy. You see, according to this analysis, justice isn't just reactive, punishing a crime after it happens. It's proactive. It's about designing an entire system, especially an economic one, that stops injustice from ever taking root. The whole focus shifts to how resources and wealth actually flow. And the blueprint gives a very clear command for this. This verse from the 59th chapter, Al-Hashr, is basically a direct order to make sure wealth circulates through all of society, not just among a tiny group at the top. All of a sudden, preventing the concentration of wealth becomes an explicit mission. And here's the crucial point. Within this framework, hoarding resources isn't just a personal choice or a bad habit. It is a direct violation of that core principle of justice, Al-Adl. It creates the exact kind of imbalance the entire blueprint is designed to prevent. And the system does not mince words about how serious this is. This quote from the 9th chapter, At-Tawa, shows you how seriously wealth stagnation is treated. The language is incredibly powerful, basically equating the hoarding of wealth with a major crime that actively hurts the whole community. So all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most revolutionary part of this whole blueprint, its ultimate goal. If you actually create a society based on this kind of balance and equity, what does that do to our typical ideas of human worth and hierarchy? To get the answer, we need to understand one last concept, taqwa. The source defines it as righteous conduct. It's the conscious, active effort to live by moral principles. So, in short, it's all about what you do, not who you are by birth or by status. And there it is. This verse from the 49th chapter, Al-Hujurat, is the ultimate leveler. It just demolishes all claims to superiority based on tribe or race or wealth or family name. In this system, the only thing that makes one person more noble than another is their taqwa, their character, and their actions. So the end goal here is incredibly ambitious. It aims to completely dismantle all forms of oppression, to free people from unjust, man-made systems of control, to establish that everyone is fundamentally equal, and to replace all those arbitrary hierarchies with a single ethical measure of worth, what you do. And that leaves us with one last big thought. This whole framework we've explored is about achieving Al-Adl, or balance, but so much of our world is defined by its exact opposite, Al-Baghi, excess wealth, excess power, excess advantage. So the question this blueprint leaves us with is this. In a system that's truly built on balance, what happens to all the power structures that are built on and that thrive on excess?